tell what's going to happen in the future. Boy, wouldn't we all be rich if we could do that.
Yes.
Well, we're going to talk about that. We can't guarantee anything, but we're going to talk about it. So this is Cliff with the ERA Real Estate, and
I'm Bex with Sun American Mortgage.
Great. Bex, no snow report. We're going to wait till December, but we will have a market update every week. So what's the market update for this week? How's it going?
So rates are looking good. We had a little bit of a rebound last week, so that's really good. Conventional, you're looking at about just under 7%, 6.875 for true rate.
Mm-hmm.
Advertised rate you might be seeing in the sixes, 6.375, maybe 6.5. That is with some type of a buy down expected. And then FHA looks good. We're kind of holding that same line where we're at about 6.5% to start, and advertised rate with a buy down is about 5.99.
Okay, so still FHA looks like a good route for first time home buyers.
Yeah, for sure.
So give us a call. Again, I'll put the QR code up at the end. Give us a shout out. We'll give you a free consultation.
Yeah,
great.
Absolutely.
All right, future. So are rates going to drop? Are we going to see a crash in the real estate market? I've heard that last week.
Yeah.
Probably 5 or 6 times. So we're going to talk about this. I just recently heard a podcast from Tom Ferry and David Childers, probably two of the top knowledgeable people about real estate in the United States. They didn't really talk about a recession or anything, but they did talk about how it could affect the real estate market. But maybe you get your thoughts on that, Bex. What do you think?
Yeah. And Barry Habib is an expert that I see on the mortgage rate side. And he talked a little bit about tariffs this last week. You know, everybody's still wondering when it's going to hit the real estate market and what kind of impact we're going to see. And really, I mean, you look at tariffs, and particularly China, the goods and services that we receive, it's going to take some time for us to see those effects. They're looking at about 60 days. So around Mother's Day is kind of where we're anticipating the West Coast at least seeing the impact of those tariffs, maybe potentially seeing some price differentiates and even maybe inventory. So, you know, we're not thinking it's going to be like COVID where the shelves were empty on certain things. I don't think it's going to be like that, but there's probably going to be some impact there. We did see some materials, the cost impacted on the real estate side during those COVID years. So like Cliff said, it's unknown as of right now what those impacts are going to be, but we can anticipate some changes are probably going to be there.
Do you think we're going to see a repeat of 2008? No. That's the big question.
No.
Everybody's saying market crash. You know, when they say that, they're thinking 2008.
That's the panic that everybody hears in their mind. That's the flashback. That's the trauma that comes back. No. I think there is potential for a recession, but we're not going to see. There's still, especially in Utah, there's still so much demand for inventory that we're not going to see that impact. And so many people have so much equity in their homes, which I think you've got some graphs on that, which actually helps prevent that type of a crash from happening.
Yeah. And so here's the graph that I wanted to show. It definitely shows how much equity is out there. 31.4% have 50% or more equity in their home right now. And 39.3% own their home outright. So that means over 70% either have 50% equity or they own their home outright, which is totally opposite of what was happening in 2008.
Correct. People were very overspending in 2008, and they were stretched way too thin.
Yeah.
The loans that were out there, the types of loans, they're not like they are now, where there's a lot more restriction and caution on that side of things. For sure. The nice thing too, a lot of people are talking about more advertisements that you're seeing for buy now, pay later loans. I would be really cautious on those types of things, especially if you have equity in your home. That is such a better route to look at pulling some of that equity out, to refinance things, maybe consolidate some debt or not go into further debt with these payday loan type things, because the rates are going to really get you in the end on that side.
Maybe it looks good up front, but then in the end it'll get you.
Yeah,
it's good advice.
Yeah.
I think another thing too, if you are a homeowner, just feel secure, you know, because it is different. You know, you hear a lot of doomsday sellers out there saying it's going to crash like it did in 2008. The facts show that that isn't the case, right?
Yeah.
That's what the facts show.
Yeah.
So, you know, look at that graph. There's like a lot of good equity out there. So, you're
we're
in a
not
good place.
seeing foreclosures, short sales, anything like that.
nothing.
Like we were seeing, there's no indication of that like it was in 2008.
Right.
So that's just fear mongering. They're just trying to feed off of that.
It's the news. It's the news cycle, right? Now, talking about recessions, I think it's above our pay grade. We can't say whether there's going to be a recession or not. If there is, how will it affect home sales? People say, "Oh, things are going to drop." Well, here's the next graph. 4 of those recessions, home prices actually increased, as you can see in the graph. So even if there is a recession, now 2008, you definitely saw a drop.
Yeah,
but I think Bex and I were talking earlier that the real estate market actually, I think, caused that recession.
Correct.
So again, will we see that again? The facts show no.
Yeah.
Anything is possible, right? We can get hit by an asteroid. That's also possible.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that we base our decisions on facts. So the real estate market, whether a recession takes place or all the tariffs, what we're seeing is that it's actually beginning to moderate.
Yeah.
It's not hot for a buyer. It's not hot for a seller. It's actually becoming a very balanced market, and that's called moderation, which is a good thing for both sides, for both sellers and buyers. So moderation is good in the real estate market.
Key. Yeah.
So, don't let the doomsday sellers scare you, right? Get the facts, do your research, and then make a good decision. Because if you're getting relocated for business, you're going to have to sell your house and you're going to have to buy another one.
Yeah.
It's not a bad time to do that right now. Again, we see moderation in the market. So give us a call, free consultation.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Have a great week. Spring is already starting here. It's beautiful outside. Hopefully where you're at, we know it's beautiful. It's beautiful all over the earth. So enjoy your week. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bex.